What you'll need for the Sunset at Heceta Head Light House is a very dry, sunset tinted variegated wash, your drawing, 2 pieces of tape to secure the drawing onto the paper, transfer paper to transfer that drawing onto the watercolor paper, and your silhouette paint. I've got here a dark bluish paint that's quite thick. Start out by placing your Sunset at Heceta Head Light House drawing in the centers of your paper so that the lighthouse is about 1/3 of the way over and 1/3 of the way down, and placed so that the yellow shines through this section of the lighthouse. Tape your paper down securely. Slip the transfer paper underneath your drawing and on top of the watercolor paper so that the shiny side is down. This is the dull side that goes up. The shiny side's down because it will transfer your drawing onto the paper. Using a sharp pen, carefully draw your image, double checking that you're pushing hard enough but not too hard. You don't want a very dark line. I could go even lighter with this. You want to be careful to trace that lighthouse accurately so that it looks like the lighthouse you're meaning to draw. You'll need to have these little openings that are left free from the silhouette color of paint. It'll become evident soon. Let's look and see what we did. Okay. And then we'll go down. These are some of the outbuildings, the caretaker's cottage. I'm not going to really draw in the trees. I will draw in where to place them by just drawing the trunk. Since this drawing is a little smaller than the paper, I'm just going to extend it along there a little bit. I extended it along over here. Okay, I'm going to draw the trees. I want to make sure that I don't draw my trees like they're on a tree farm. They're all different sizes. They're all different distances apart. They'll overlap with each other. Pull out your transfer paper. Lift your drawing. Carefully pull it off of the paper, and you're ready to paint. Your prepared paint is right by your side, along with a little scratch piece of paper that you can test your colors on. I like to test my colors so that I know if it's dark enough. This is dark enough. It's going to look like a silhouette. I'm using 2 brushes, a real skinny one and then a medium small one. The medium small I think is an 8, and this other one is probably a 2 or a 3. And I'm going to use the 2 or 3 here in this skinny area. So I'm not going to do that right now. some paint, and we want to start at the top of the hill and keep our paint wet on all the edges. If this edge right here gets dry, you'll have a line there. So I want to keep that nice and wet. So the trick is to go fast enough that your paint doesn't dry and slow enough that you can be accurate. Moving right along. When I notice my paint not being as dark as it was, I keep going. Again, I don't want this line here to dry, so keep an eye on it. Keep your paint nice and dark. That's why you need a puddle already ready to go before you start your painting, because you'll for sure will have it dry if you have to mix up some more paint. And you can, if you wish, just use black straight out of your pan. But I like to make it more interesting. This always looks a little more interesting when it's got a couple other colors mixed in. So we're keeping the edges nice and wet, kind of going top to bottom, right, moving over left, so that the paint doesn't dry. We add more paint in here and then roll it around so that it doesn't make a bloom or create a shiny spot. And if you do notice a puddle, you can tip your paper and gravity will help you out. Gravity is your friend. And using the Arches paper, you're going to find it's much more forgiving when you do have a long distance to go with your paint. And this is just that black hill against the sunset. To do your trees, I like to turn my paper so that I can work with my body to make a tree. And to make a tree, I just made a line, and now I'm just going to kind of jiggle my brush in a tree shape. See, I've left some spaces here. Branches bunch together and they have spaces. There's holes where the sun is shining through. Your paint from one tree will run into another one, and that's good. Again, I'm twisting my body so that I can easily make that line. Using my finger on the paper so that I can support my hand. Got a little dot there that I'm going to incorporate into that branch. See how this tree's running into the other one? That's good. That's okay. Okay, here's another tree. And I want this tree right there. And just kind of scribbling almost. Now we're coming over to this other side. I think I'm going to grab my skinny brush now and make the lighthouse itself. I'm going slowly and carefully, but quickly enough that I don't have edges. And here's why this skinny brush is so nice. Take your brush and roll it in the paint so that your brush has a nice point to it. Sorry about that. Breathe in as you draw that straight line, and it'll help those lines get straighter. Grabbing my medium brush again, coming back over to these trees. Here's a couple trees. And I'm moving quickly here, so I'm noticing that the paint's coming down into the previously painted hillside. So I'm going to let it roll down. And I may have to fix this by wetting the whole area to get this bloom to meld in. But I'm not going to worry about that now. Fixing blooms is for later. This tree needs to be a little fatter. Again, just kind of scribble along, leave some holes. Don't make it exactly even. Life isn't like that. Now I'm going to take and see if I can't fix this bloom now by just wetting this whole area one more time. And letting the gravity bring the paint down. I've got the brush, the gator board tipped up so that the paint can slide down the paper. Again, Arches paper's the best for this because you can, it's so forgiving. When people say watercolor's so hard, the reason they're saying that is they've not used a good quality paper in it. It's very frustrating. Okay, just let that slide. It's called rocking and rolling. You can see how wet that is. Okay, there we are.